Hi beautiful, my name is Emily and welcome to Beautiful, Worthy, Enough. And my mission is to help you feel beautiful in yourself, beautiful in your body, worthy and good enough, because you deserve to feel confident in yourself. And if you can feel beautiful, worthy and good enough, you will be able to love yourself on a deeper level. And the more that you love yourself, the more love you can give to others and the more you can enjoy your life. So I really want to help you and support you on your own journey to feeling beautiful, worthy and good enough. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a very raw, honest and open video about my experience of depression and eating disorders. And I just want to be really open with this video because I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with depression and eating disorders and other mental health conditions, and I just want you to know that you are not alone. So I hope that this video can bring some light to this topic, and I hope that if you can relate to this video and if you can relate to how I feel, then I want you to know that you are not alone and I am here to help you and you don't have to go through this alone. So my experience with eating disorders and depression, where did this all kind of begin? Well, when I was about 6 years old, I was diagnosed with a medical condition known as idiopathic thrombotic pleural, also known as ITP. And with my ITP, it means that I have very low platelets and therefore I have a lot of internal bleeding. So I have a lot of bruises and very dark circles, and I got fatigued very, very easily. So at the age of 6 years old, I was pretty much covered in bruises. I would have these very dark circles under my eyes. I was extremely tired, and what happened is that I began to see that I was different, and as a child I began to see that I was not pretty like the other girls. We would have our school photos taken and I would look at these school photos and I would feel so sad about myself because there was all these beautiful pretty little girls and I was sitting there in the corner and I had bruises all over myself and I had dark circles, and I began to get really, really insecure. And as a little girl, I was portrayed this idea by my environment and and society that if you're beautiful on the outside and if you've got a beautiful body and if you look pretty, then you are worthy. And subconsciously, running in the back of my mind, I had this belief that in order to be happy and in order to be an amazing, incredible, worthy person, then I had to be physically beautiful. But at a very young age, I began to feel like I was not beautiful. I felt that I was not pretty enough, and therefore I felt that I was not good enough. So I had this happening at a very young age. And pretty much every year it got worse and I started to feel really horrible about myself. I started to feel disgusted in myself. I started to feel very, very insecure. And I remember to the beach with my family, and instead of just being a child and just enjoying myself, there was a part of me that was really worried and insecure about how I looked. And I started to become really obsessed with my body and obsessed with trying to look a different way. And I became really, really insecure with my bruises, and also with the fact that I am very short. A lot of people started to label me as being short and in a negative way, and I started to feel that because I'm short it meant that I was unworthy. And so I just, at a young age, I created all of these limiting beliefs that because my body wasn't perfect, that I wasn't worthy. And so pretty much throughout my childhood, I was often labelled being short, and I was often bullied or picked on about my bruises because I was extremely tired and fatigued due to my medical condition. Like a lot of people would be like, you look like you're on drugs, you look so sick. And it really, really damaged my self-esteem. Like at such a young age, I took it all in so personally, and I just felt so insecure and so worthless at such a young age. I was just this little girl who on the outside she looked all happy, but on the inside I was at war with myself, and I started to just feel so insecure about who I was, and I was so shy, and I just felt like everyone was judging me and I felt like I was never good enough. And so this continued, and as I got to high school it got worse. By the time I was 14, I got my first Instagram account and my first Facebook account, and I just started to compare myself with other women on social media, and I felt that my body was not good enough. I would wake up in the morning, I would look in the mirror, and I would pull at my body, and I was like, I wish it was this way, and I wish my body was skinnier and curvier here, and I wish I could change my face. And I would look at the mirror, and I would feel so disgusted in who I was, and then I would just cry. I would cry. I felt horrible in who I was. I felt worthless, and I felt that my worth came from how I looked, and because I didn't like how I looked, I felt that I wasn't good enough. And I felt so horrible in myself. I punished myself by skipping meals and by restricting my eating and by not eating meals. And I punished myself to try and make myself feel more worthy and more in control, but that actually had a negative effect on myself and my emotional and mental well-being. I stopped packing meals for lunch for school. When I came home from school, I would just cry and cry and cry. I remember just coming home one day and just locking myself in my room and just crying for hours and hours. I just felt so completely worthless. I felt like I was just not good enough. I just disliked my body. And I felt like no one could understand this war that was within me. I felt like no one could understand how I felt. And it made me feel so sad because I had all of these demons within me, and I had all of these feelings within me, and it was just so hard to talk about it to other people because I felt like no one could understand that I hated myself so much. Like, everyone would be like, Emily, but I love you, but I still didn't have that love for myself, and that's what really, it impacted me in a really negative way. And I remember one time my friends, for my 14th or 15th birthday, my friends came over, and it was so lovely. Two of them came over to make pancakes for me, a surprise, at my house, and we're cooking pancakes. And I felt so bad because as I was eating the pancakes, I felt so much guilt about myself, and I was like, I shouldn't be eating these pancakes. I'm not going to look good. I'm going to look ugly. And I felt so insecure. I felt like I was worthless and I just didn't want to belong anymore. And it started to get really deep into depression. I would come home every day and I felt worthless. I felt as if I was never good enough. And even though I had people around me that loved me and cared for me, it wasn't enough because I didn't love myself and I didn't see my own worth. That's where I really needed to start working on my own journey to self-love. And so I went into this really deep, dark place of depression and sadness where every day I would just cry myself to sleep. I would stay up late researching ways to change my body, to change my face, to change my appearance. I would spend hundreds of dollars on makeup and products and like creams that would fix me. I spent so much money on things that would try to get rid of my dark circles and my bruises, and I just hated who I was. I didn't like myself. I didn't like how I looked. There were so many things I didn't like about myself. I didn't like my personality, and I just started to become so angry at myself. I started to feel so disappointed and so upset with myself. There was one time where I was going to go to work on a Saturday morning, and I remember looking in the mirror and I'd tried on 10 different outfits, and every time I tried on an outfit I just felt like I was not good enough. I felt like my body was worthless, and I would just cry. I cried so much before going into work. I remember walking into work and my face was all red, and I couldn't explain it to anyone. It was like I had all of this darkness within me, and I disliked myself so much, and I felt like no one could understand this pain that I was feeling. And I then started to feel really angry at myself because I was like, I should be grateful. I should be grateful for all these things that I have about myself, but I just felt so down about who I was. I felt ugly, I felt unattractive, I felt dumb, I felt like I was never good enough. I started to compare myself to other students, and I felt like, why am I not smart enough? Why am I not intelligent? Why do I keep getting stuff wrong? Why do I keep making mistakes? Criticizing myself, I was judging myself. I was my own worst bully. I was always picking on parts about my body. I felt like my body was not good enough. I felt like my personality was not good enough. And I just felt like overall I was not worthy enough ever. And it really, really damaged me. I got to a very dark place, and I started to express my emotions through art and photography, because I got to this really dark place where if I didn't improve, I don't know if I would be here today. And so I started to express my emotions and my sadness and my pain through art and through photography and poetry. And so these are some photos that I took during my very dark place. And a lot of these photos, they show that I was really caught up with this idea of body image, and they show that I felt really insecure about myself and that I was at war with myself. And these photos, they have measuring tape around me. I put lots of measuring tape around my body to show that I was trapped and suffocating myself with numbers. And I was trapped by this idea that I needed to be perfect. I was trapped by this idea that my body wasn't worthy. And I just felt so upset and so sad with who I was. And so I started to express myself through these photos, and it really started to help me because I was able to express myself in healthy ways. And I remember crying one night, and my dad came in, and my dad started to talk about this to me, and I started showing him the poetry that I made, and I started showing him the photos that I took to express how I felt. And I remember we were both just crying, and we both just felt so sad. And he was so sad to see that I was going through so much pain. And that really helped to talk to someone about how I felt, even though I knew my dad might not understand that I hated myself so deeply. It was so helpful to actually talk to someone about it. It was so helpful to just sit down with someone and share my emotions, share my experiences in a really open way. And so if you're struggling with eating disorders or depression, I really encourage you to please talk to someone, whether that be someone you trust, like a family member or a friend or a teacher, or please go see a professional, a therapist, a psychologist. Please get help, because you do not have to go through this alone, and you shouldn't have to go through this alone, because it's a lot, and you deserve to get help. You really do. You deserve to have support, and that is what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to put your hands out, to reach out and be like, hey, I need some help, I'm struggling. And it's totally okay. It's totally okay to have support. And I encourage you to do it, because this helped me so much. I also encourage you to express your emotions in healthy ways. This could be through art, through drawing, through photography, through cooking, through dancing, through music. There's so many beautiful ways that we can express our emotions. Because if you don't express your emotions and you keep them bottled up, then this sadness will never ever go away, and it will always stay kept within you. And that's what happened to me. Is for years and years, ever since I was 6 years old, I had all of these emotions and all of this anxiety about who I was, all of these insecurities and doubt and self-hate that I bottled up within me, and all of these bad negative emotions, I kept them bottled within me, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and I got to such a deep dark place. And that's why it's so important to express your emotions in healthy ways. You can do this by journaling, by writing about how you feel, by writing music about how you feel, or even doing a drawing about how you feel. You don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be creative, but just give yourself that space to express how you feel. And the more that you express yourself in these healthy ways, you'll begin to understand how you feel on a deeper level, and you'll be able to connect with yourself better as well. You'll be able to have more clarity on how you feel, and it will really help you to heal and recover. When I was going through my eating disorders and my depression, I drew this artwork called Trapped Soul. And within this artwork, this girl, she's looking down, and she's looking down at this little girl who's in the ribbed cages, and she's crying. And that little girl in the rib cages that's trapped, that's my soul. That was my soul crying. And I drew some measuring tape, and I entangled the measuring tape around the rib cages to show that numbers were suffocating her, and that this idea of numbers and body weight and body size was controlling her, and it was suffocating her, and it was making her feel unworthy. And by drawing this artwork, I allowed myself to express these deep emotions that I had about myself, and I allowed myself the freedom to express who I am, and this helped me to recover. This helped me to build a positive relationship with who I am, because by expressing myself and how I feel, I gave myself the freedom to unleash these negative emotions, and I felt more peaceful with myself. And so this really, really helped me to build a loving relationship and to build confidence with who I was. And I really encourage you to do the same. You don't have to be an amazing drawer or photographer. Give yourself the permission to create and to unleash these emotions you have within you. And you don't have to share it with anyone. But when I shared my photographs and artworks with other people, it actually helped them as well, and it inspired other people to become more aware of how they're feeling and to express their emotions, and it helps people to recover and to heal. And that's the beautiful thing about going through pain, is that we can share our pain with others in a positive way that encourages people to heal. We can share our struggles and our journeys with others to help other people, and that's what I want to do. I want to help you on your journey. So if you're battling with an eating disorder or with depression or even any other mental health condition, then I want you to know that 1, you are not alone. 2, you do not have to go through this alone. 3, please get support and talk to someone about how you feel. Please don't keep it bottled up within you, because it's just going to get worse. 4, allow yourself to express how you feel in healthy ways, through drawing, through art, through photography, any method that feels healthy and expressive. Allow yourself to unleash these emotions so that you can build a positive relationship with who you are, and so that you can understand how you feel on a deeper level. And 5, please know that you are worthy. You are worthy. Even though you might not have the perfect body, you are still worthy. Even though you might make mistakes, you are still worthy. Even though you might have sad days and bad days, you are still worthy as a person. I want you to know that you don't have to be perfect to be good enough, because you are good enough the way that you are. You were born 100% good enough. You are worthy, and I want to help you to see your worth. I really hope that this video helps you. I hope that it helped you to see that self-love is possible. Even though you're going through something dark right now, I want you to know that there is light on the other ends, and that eventually you will get there. I believe in you. I believe that you can feel confident. I believe that you can build a loving relationship with who you are, and I want to help you to get there. So I hope this video helps, lovely, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye!